Guys, it's Danica coming to you again from the Take 10 blog, and I have the remainder of my week 33. I guess not the rest. This is part 2 of 3 actually, so I still have 2 more pages to go. I had a busy week this week. This was our back to school and everything, so what I'm doing is just adding some watercolor to that image that I stamped in my previous video. I knew I didn't need it for those pages, but I knew I would need it for these. And so I went ahead and stamped it when I did that one just to kind of save myself some time. And it actually ends up going somewhere else. I'm using the Pinkfresh Happy Things 6x6 paper pad as a supplement to my Take 10 kits. I'm running very low on my August cards. I still have lots of embellishments left over, but the cards I usually do use up fairly quickly. So I'm using that stamp set from the shop, and you're going to see I'm going to rub it here on a piece of paper because I'd never used that stamp before, and sometimes it just doesn't stamp clear the first time you use it. So I know some people use the eraser technique where you just take an eraser and rub that over the stamp set, but I find just putting a little bit of ink on and kind of swirling it on a piece of paper works too. And I'm just going to add some extra some of the little words from that same stamp set. I think it is still available in the shop, so just going to add those, and then I dropped my acrylic stamp there on that picture, and when I picked it up it pulled the color right off the picture, but it was in a spot where I could just kind of take my marker and color it back in. So yeah, I need to be a lot more careful when I'm stamping with my ink and with my stamps and not do it over the top of my photos. Sometimes I think I get in a hurry, but I added that little back to school to the picture of their backpacks along with a little heart. Those are those crepe paper. I think one was from Confetti. They're little puffy stickers. I'm not sure what the other one, the line, was from, but they're both crepe paper and they're very, very similar. So here I'm just going to put some watercolor on this piece of paper, some of the pink, the turquoise, and a little bit of kind of that orangey yellow. And I'm just going to set that aside to dry. I'm going to use that later to do some stamping. I do find that it works better if you do your watercolor first and then stamp on top of it. I like that back to school. I know you probably can't see in these pictures, but it did bleed a little bit, the black ink, because it is pigment based. So when you introduce water to it, it just kind of, it doesn't stay as sharp and clear. So just kind of going through my embellishments and figuring out what I want to do. This poor card, I keep adding. You'll see me go back to it and keep adding things to it. I am still really not happy with it, but sometimes you just have to let it go. You know, I could probably just keep piling embellishments and vellum circles onto it all day long, and it's still not going to get any better, but I'm not going to redo it. That's kind of always been my thing. I had a friend that used to go back and just rip everything out of her scrapbooks and change things because she didn't like it, and I've really tried not be a perfectionist like that, because to me, once it's done, and no one really knows, especially if they're not a scrapbooker. You know, people aren't looking through your books critiquing them like you're trying to make their design team or something. So I know my kids don't critique my scrapbooking technique at all, but anyway, so I'm just going to add some bits and pieces to this photo. That little strip of faces was part of the cut-aparts that came with the kits this month. And so is the camera. I think that was in the glam bag. The little wooden pieces are part of the Pinkfresh Happy Things line. I did not pick those up in the Take 10 shop. Can't remember where I ordered those from, actually. So I'm going to add that little label sticker. It says something about friends. That was my daughter and her friends after school. We took the middle schoolers out for ice cream for the first day of school. So pretty much everything on this page except for the top 2 pictures all happened on the first day. That is why I have so many inserts for this week, because a lot of my days end up being an entire page. So I'll apologize. There's a thunderstorm going on right now, but I had to get this voiceover done, and sometimes, you know, I don't have one of those soundproof rooms. I'm not that fancy and sophisticated, so anyway, so I'm sorry if you can hear the thunder. going on in the background, but now I'm going to add my daughter's names. I was kind of trying to decide. I was looking through some of my stickers, and you know, I have Ellie and I have Olivia, so a lot of L's and a lot of I's and A's and E's. So unfortunately, those seem to be the letters I run out of first. But I had these 2 little sheets that I got from Studio Calico. I think they were a freebie that came with maybe the May or the June kit. So those end up working nicely, and I think I just maybe add a little bit to the top picture, some journaling. Oh, now I'm going to do my stamping. That's what I'm going to do. So my watercolor piece is dry, so I have this label stamp from the Studio 29 kit, or stamp set, excuse me, and this little arrow. So what I did was I stamped the label across so that all 3 colors were picked up, and then I trimmed that out, and then the arrow I stamped, because there's some little hearts, I stamped those so that the top hearts were pink and the bottom heart was the turquoise. And so it kind of gives kind of like a little, I don't know, to me it kind of looks like tie-dye, or maybe even like the ombre kind of effect. So this little sheet was part of the Pinkfresh Happy Things paper pad, and I just loved that there were all these little sentiments that you could just fussy cut and attach to your page. So you see me adding more to that top right card, and I think really in the end, when I see everything together, I like it, but if I had that little card by itself, it wouldn't, I don't know, I just don't like it. So I think maybe I should have stamped the little journaling box underneath the picture instead of on top, and then maybe, I don't know what I could have done to make it better. And part of it, I think, is that little wood veneer. I'm just not quite sure I like it across the top either, but it's done, and it's in my book, and I'm not going to worry about it anymore. So just adding some of these stickers from the Heidi Swap. Those were the ones I picked up at Michael's a couple of weeks ago. They just came out. So it's kind of funny on the packaging, it says they're puffy stickers. So I think that was a misprint because they're definitely not puffy stickers. They're completely transparent and quite thin. So no puffiness at all. So I'm going to add some journaling to that little label that I stamped. It was a little banner that my girls made. They missed their dad while he was gone in Florida, so they made him a little welcome home banner to hang on the wall. So I'm going to move to my next page now, and oh no, I stamped some more. Oh, this is that Heidi Swap stamp that I picked up at Michael's. It's not good, you guys. There's a reason why those stamps are only $5. They're really, the lines are not crisp and clear, and I should have just used my pen to draw lines. And I would have redone it if not for the fact that I wanted that watercolor. And so, you know, I guess I could have watercolored another piece, but it was okay. I was able to get my journaling in there about going out for ice cream. I did round the corners a little bit just to kind of add something to that, so it's not just a square piece of paper sitting there. And yeah, I'd stick it down and just kind of call that good. So add some more enamel dots here and there, and some more little puffy stickers to the center of that camera. And oh yeah, I'm gonna throw another vellum circle on there because that might just make it all better. Sorry. Someone might think that's great. Yeah. You see, I'll just keep adding things to it. I would add things to it all day if I didn't just move on. So it's time to move on. So here, what I'm going to do, I have this is the next page, and I keep flipping that card back and forth because when it's on the turquoise side, I feel like there's too much turquoise. When it's on the pink side, I feel like there's too much pink. So what I ended up doing here is just adding my pink watercolor to the white line on the card. And that to me kind of helped balance out the turquoise and the pink on those 2 facing pages. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of pink to this card, and I think that just gives it enough. The facing page had a lot more pink in it, And so that just kind of balances things out. And I do like to try to kind of repeat elements. If I watercolor on one page, I like to watercolor on another. So you'll see on the next page where I do add some more watercolors to one of those cards. So I'm just going to go through and embellish, and that upper left-hand corner of that card there that I have my fingers on it just looks kind of plain to me, so I know just kind of going through and figuring out what I want to put where. I have everything out there on my table, and there I am trying to figure out. So I add one of those little crepe paper puffy stickers. It's a little banner, but again, it feels kind of plain to me, so I end up adding a little star to that, and then I do some journaling up there at the top. So when in doubt and you've got a big empty space and you don't know what to put there, sometimes just journaling can be what you can add to an empty space. And then there's another one of those little cutouts from that paper pad. I'll add some enamel dots and a little puffy heart to that. That was our last, I think one of our last days at the pool. The pool this year stayed open past the first day of school. Usually the weekend before the first day of school they all close, but one of the pools in town stayed open until August 23rd, so it was kind of nice. They opened up at 3:30 in the afternoon so we could go after school and swim. Unfortunately, there were only a couple of days that we got to do that because then it got cold for some reason, and now it's September and it's like beastly hot, like 97 degrees, where it feels like 102. It's awesome for September. It's supposed to be fall. Well, not quite yet, but feels like it. Football started, it should be cooler outside, but I'm just going to add some journaling to that card, and I think I go to that card trying to figure out what I want to put there, and I think I end up with the remember this. Oh, and then I decided I wanted to put that little card that says merci, kind of a thank you to the people helping us move there. We had to get everything out of my husband's office because the construction was going to start on our basement, which now it is actually just about done. So this was about 3 weeks ago. So I'm just going to add that little merci to that, kind of like a way of saying thank you. So those were the guys. They found my husband's old skateboard and they put the skateboard underneath his desk and rolled it back into the workroom. It's kind of funny. But so just adding some enamel dots, some puffy stickers, and adding that remember this, some wood pieces, and I decide that piece is kind of plain, so I just kind of carefully added some watercolor to the outside of that little card. And now I think I am going to go down to this bottom card after adding some more puffy stickers and enamel dots. I knew I wanted to journal in that white space, but beyond that I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. It was just a picture. It was actually a picture of the plumber snaking our main line after we had our little flood, our final flood. So just kind of told that story that, I felt like I was lucky that I was able to find a plumber kind of on a short notice, and they were able to come take care of that and get all the water out of the basement. So I inked the edges of that little piece just to kind of make it stand out. I probably could have done the watercolor again just to kind of tie that together, but I decided just to ink it up with some black ink. So now I'm on to my last page, and this page has the card on the two cards at the top are from the Take 10 kit. That the 2 4x6s are part of the paper pad again, and then the bottom one I think was just a random card that I just had in my stash. I wanted some more of the turquoise, and so I think I might have gotten that in like one of those paper issues, their swag bags. So I kind of have a little a little bin of just kind of random cards that don't have a place to go in my organization by kit. They're just kind of extra random ones. So anyway, I'm going to trim that little heart up and put that at the top. It was a picture of my daughter helping make dinner. She loves to help, and so she puts her apron on and helps out. Now that one, that was a card from the Take 10 kit this month, and I did cover up most of what was on that card and kind of used it as a background instead. I really liked that card, but you know, sometimes you get to the end of a kit and that might be the only card you have left, and even though I like it and I know I could have used it somehow, some way, someday, without having all the other kits, it probably would have gone into my random kit thing, my random bucket of cards that don't really fit with any certain kit, and it might have gotten used someday, but I went ahead and used it to bring some more of that pink in, since it does match exactly. So I'm going to move to this bottom right card. This was our the first worker that came in, and the first thing that happened in our basement was removal of wallpaper. So that's what this is about. And I forgot to get out my stamp sets ahead of time, so you're going to see my little binder here. I usually get those stamp sets out ahead of time that I think I might use and put them in a little container. I picked up some little containers at the Target dollar spot. I love getting those little, just little plastic things for $1. And sometimes there's 2 or 3 of them for $1, and they work great just for holding little odds and ends and things like that. So I add a puffy sticker to that heart at the top and some journaling to this picture. This was, we went to a music store to get my daughter her clarinet for the school year and kind of discovered that it was only going to be about $50 more to purchase a clarinet outright than it was to rent it for the year. So I figure if she's going to use it for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, we might as well have her own. So, and we ran into her violin teacher while we were there too. So that was what was one of those pictures. So I'm just going to add some watercolor to that card. It really didn't need anything, but like I said, I like to tie things together. So I wanted to put some watercolor on this page as well. Going to go, I think here on the bottom. Oh no, this is, I'm going to add the word finally. It's like, finally this basement is getting started. So he was working on the wallpaper removal in there, and getting things prepped for the remodel. Very exciting. So that's going to be wrapping up here tomorrow. Actually, Tuesday is they're going to be here putting down our baseboards. So, and that's the final step. Then we get to move everything back in. So I will be very busy in this next week or so, and our furniture will be coming here in a couple of weeks. So getting very excited. We'll probably put our guest bedroom and our my craft room, my husband's game room together first. So we do have all the furniture for those rooms, so we can get those started. I just used some of my Kelly Purkey and Miss Kim Creates stamps. I'm not sure about the Kelly Purkey stamp. I know the Miss Kim stamp is no longer available, her foodie stamp. I think she has a new one, a different one, but that exact one that I used is no longer available. So I'm just going to add some embellishments here to this card. I use a little wooden arrow to point to the recipe. This time, instead of actually taking a picture of the food that I prepared, I just screenshotted the Pinterest pin. I liked that it had the title of the recipe across the top, so that just saved me some time. So on to the close-ups here. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great Monday. Thanks for watching.